How's it going, everyone? Happy to have you guys here. Hope you guys are all doing well and ready for today's webinar. We're going to be giving it a few minutes to get everyone situated, to get everybody into the webinar so that we can start going through some of the insights that we have for you guys today. I see we do have some attendees right now. Give it a couple more minutes. Hope you guys are doing well. For anyone that's in the field right now, thank you for joining, even though you are very busy and you are probably flying. For everyone that's not, thank you for taking the time to join us. We have some really good information for you guys today. Going to give it one more minute. All right, guys. All right, let's go ahead and kick this off. Wanted to welcome you guys all. First of all, we wanted to welcome you guys all. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about an American-made manufacturer. And so this is WISPR Systems, and we are going to bring you all some visibility to their American-made NDAA compliant platforms. I'm going to start with some introductions, go into a little bit of high-level knowledge on NDAA compliance, and then we're going to hand it over to WISPR. So let's go ahead and get into it. My name is Jeremiah Contreras, and I manage the Pilot Experience Department. It's a department designed for our pilots. So for the pillars that we handle are demand planning, onboarding, training and development, and support. So this was designed for the pilots and to help you guys grow and develop throughout the industry and your careers. One of the things that we focus heavily on, that we're going to be focusing heavily on this year, is training and development. And with that comes gaining more exposure to some of the newer systems that are coming into the industry. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my experience. So I have a little more than 10 years of experience in the industry. And like most of you guys, I actually started out as a network pilot at FlyGuys. I was a network pilot for 3 years and I got to fly many missions. And it was great because it brought more exposure to me on the types of industries that are using the many different data sets. And after that, I actually ended up coming on internally as one of the first in-house pilots at FlyGuys. When I took that position, I was able to travel all over the nation. This was essentially flying a drone for 3 weeks straight and then being off a week. So you guys can imagine it's really hard to track your flight hours when you're doing that. But I got so much exposure, so much knowledge. I was able to fly everything from standard RGB mapping missions to LiDAR and bathymetrics, everything in between. And now I manage the pilot experience department. And using those skills and that knowledge that I've accumulated over the years to help you guys out. And it's been a big effort to get you guys some more training and development this year. And with that, we want to make sure that to focus on the equipment first that aligns with the trends that are happening in the industry. So let's go ahead and move into NDAA compliance. So why does this webinar matter? This webinar matters because of the different changes that are going on in the industry. So this session is designed to help FlyGuys pilots understand WISPR Systems NDAA-compliant UAS platforms. The goal is to equip you guys with the knowledge needed to make informed equipment decisions and unlock more mission opportunities moving forward. In the webinar, we're going to be explaining what NDAA compliance means. We're also going to be clarifying the difference between blue UAS, green UAS, and some of the NDAA compliant drones. We're going to be discussing how compliance affects access to government infrastructure and enterprise missions. We're going to be highlighting WISPR Systems, an American-made drone platform. We're going to be helping pilots stay ahead of evolving requirements and position themselves for future work. As you guys know, there's a lot of changes happening in the industry with non-Chinese drones and DJI bans. So this is going to provide you guys with some more knowledge to combat that current speed bump that we're going through. Let's talk about NDAA. So what is NDAA? So NDAA is National Defense Authorization Act. It's a federal law that limits which drones can be used on certain jobs. It focuses on data security, supply chain, safety, and national interests. Now, a major reason why NDAA compliance was introduced is due to the risk associated with foreign manufactured drones and components. Why it matters to you as a pilot. Some missions require NDAA compliant equipment. Non-compliant drones may limit where and who you can work for, and requirements are expanding across the industries. The big picture, compliance equals access, credibility, and long-term opportunity. Let's go ahead and review this pilot takeaway. So this pilot takeaway, your drone choice directly impacts your job opportunities. Now, drone choice is not something that is, drone choice and how it affects our opportunities is not something that we haven't experienced before. If you've been in the industry long enough, you might remember the point where we went from standard drones to enterprise drones. When enterprise drones were introduced, it started to open up more possibilities to some of the missions that are out there that the other standard drones like minis and Air 3s and the standard Mavic drones were not able to take on. So it's a very similar situation with the opportunities that are becoming more realistic today, except for it's due to the type of drone and the manufacturer of the drone and where it's manufactured, as opposed to with enterprise drones, it was due to the capabilities. Now we're looking at where it's manufactured. Let's go ahead and talk about blue UAS versus green UAS. So blue UAS is fully approved for U.S. Department of Defense missions. It meets the highest security and compliance standards and is required for certain federal and defense-related work. Green UAS, on the other hand, is NDAA compliant and cyber secure. It's approved for many government and enterprise missions and designed to support commercial operators. Pending in process listings. So drones actively working towards NDAA or green UAS approval, not yet cleared or restricted missions, and may become approved options in the future. So these could be the NDAA compliant drones. So essentially NDAA meaning non-Chinese, still compliant, but doesn't exactly meet the blue UAS standard. Pilot takeaway here is not all compliant drones are equal. Approval status matters. As we went over, blue is very different from green. Green is very different from NDAA compliant, and we're going to be reviewing what you need to know in order to decide which one of these drones you need. All right. Now, how compliance impacts mission access. Government missions. Many federal, state, and local agencies require compliant drones. Equipment can determine eligibility before skill is even considered. So you won't even have a chance at these missions unless the equipment you have meets their standards. Infrastructure and utilities. So these are some of the industries that are starting to need these compliant drones for their operations. So that is energy, transportation, and public works increasingly follow federal standards. Compliance helps pilots qualify for long-term repeat work. So although these aren't government industries, they could be funded by the government, which results in needing to follow the compliance set for UAS standards. Enterprise work. So large organizations care about data security and risk management, and compliance equipment builds trust and expands project scope. Very important here to understand your clients and their needs. Do they want a non-Chinese drone, or do we need to comply with the NDAA? Pilot takeaway here, the right drone opens doors to higher value, more consistent missions. What we're starting to see with these opportunities and these missions that require compliant drones, blue, green, or NDAA, is they do pay out more. They happen to be more lucrative jobs. And, this could be opening many more doors for you guys as pilots in terms of the opportunities. How we help pilots prepare for the future. So we want to help pilots stay ahead of change. So this requires monitoring compliance, updates, and industry trends, sharing guidance before requirements impact your work. We're all very aware of what's going on in the industry, and we want to be able to do things like this, host webinars, and host some of the companies out there to keep you guys ahead of the curve. It's also helping you guys make smart equipment decisions. So clear education on compliance, approved and pending platforms, supporting informed investments, not rushed updates. Now, a lot of you guys might be buying equipment for your first time, or you might be transitioning, or you might even have certain clients right now that are requesting non-DJI drones. And I strongly believe that this will help guide you guys and bring more visibility to the platforms that you guys can depend on going into the future of the industry and the compliance that is in effect right now. What this also does is unlock more opportunities. So this is going to be able to position pilots for government infrastructure and enterprise missions and help you stay competitive as requirements evolve. You can imagine if you have that NDA compliant drone, that blue approved drone, or that green approved drone, you're going to be more likely to receive those missions, and you're pretty much going to be first to the market before everyone else starts to get those same drones. It's not as saturated as normal missions and jobs. There are not as many pilots with these drones out right now. So you could utilize this information to be first to the market. Our goal here is to equip pilots with knowledge, clarity, and confidence to grow their careers. We don't want you guys to just be successful at FlyGuys. We want you to be successful in your career as a whole, and that's part of what we're doing here. Now, for the moment you guys have all been waiting for, this is WISPR Systems. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to John MacArthur, Chief Revenue Officer, and Carson Call, Director of Sales Engineering. These are the representatives for WISPR Systems today. They're going to be showing us some of their platforms that are NDA compliant, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. I was able to see this stuff a week ago. The amount of payloads that are compatible with their systems, the doors that the systems open, and just the many options that they have. It's incredible. And there's also some nice incentives here for pilots that we'll be sharing at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you guys to John. How's it going, John?
Going well, man. Thank you so much for this opportunity to get in front of your organization. We've Carson and I really enjoyed working with you and the rest of your team over the last few weeks as we prepared for this. So, I'm John MacArthur. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer over here at WISPR, and so I manage anything that touches bringing money in. So marketing, sales, government affairs, which is becoming an increasingly large part of running a drone business, which is we'll get into more of that here later on. But our big thing here at WISPR has always been how easy can we make it for you, the pilots, to do your job. And one of the things that we knew we needed to do was bring in people that have been you guys out in the field doing that job. And that's how we found Carson Call, who's been flying DJI drones for 10 years. I'd say 99% of all pilots flying our drones came from the DJI ecosystem and are currently, still in it to a certain degree. And so we we look at that and have taken his advice and listened to things he had to say about, which payloads matter. How's this workflow for customers? What are they used to? And we try to take all that in order to create an entire end-to-end solution and system for you guys, so we don't interrupt your workflow and you don't have to totally learn a brand new thing. So Carson's been with us now for about 2 years. He comes from a civil and structural design world and has done, most of the jobs you guys are out there doing. So Carson's invaluable to our team due to his experience and work ethic and a million other things that we couldn't do without Carson.
It's awesome. So I'm very happy to have you guys here. Thank you for being here, John.
Awesome. All right. Next
Go
slide,
ahead.
please. All right, jumping in. I really like to tell the kind of quick story about how we got to where we're at so you know who we are, how we think about things. So we are living the American dream around here to a certain degree. So we rolled out of a startup accelerator program at Mississippi State in 2017. Our two founders were in electrical engineering school there, and they were building drones kind of for fun and had the opportunity to start building drones for professors. And then ended up getting, by chance, got to meet a guy who's on something called the Bulldog Angel Network, which is Shark Tank more or less for students at Mississippi State. If you got a good business idea, you get to go present to the Shark Tank Bulldog Angel Network, just like Shark Tank. My name is Connor Ferguson. He's our founder and CTO. My company is WISPR Systems, and we put antennas on drones to do point-to-point site surveys for setting up internet in rural America. The people that do that job are called like that industry is called the WISP industry, wireless internet service provider. So that's where the WISP and whisper comes from. It's not that our drones are quiet or anything.
Uh,
That was our original market that we were going after. And since towers were our market, we started doing other things in the tower space like PCI scanning and all sorts of other things. So we had to become experts in handling EMI. And due to that, I think that we've got the best EMI shielding of any drone that we've ever seen on the market, including the DJI one. So excited about that. But we knew, big picture, we were not going to become the company that we have the potential to be if we just stayed in that niche market of point-to-point site surveys. And so we had to get into the more mainstream markets of public safety, commercial inspection, and surveying and mapping. We The thought was, hey, let's go plant our flag in one of them, be known for that, and then you can expand as you have your brand built and grow. So we chose surveying and mapping to be the area to dive into. It didn't seem like any other American company wanted to be known just for that. And so we saw that challenge kind of as the opportunity, and the challenge was a big one. I mean, becoming an expert in surveying and mapping is really complicated. You have to become a GPS expert, RTK, PPK, LiDAR, photogrammetry, figure out how to time all that up, bathymetry, hydrology, all sorts of things. That's where, you get a guy like Carson in to really help you. But it's hard to do that. You're dealing with civil engineers, land surveyors, centimeters, millimeters matter to these folks. But again, the challenge was the opportunity. And so we've really been focused on that for the last couple of years. But what makes it all tick is our software. We write our own software and firmware specific for our payload, specific for our drone. And that is what makes us WISPR Systems and not WISPR drones. All right,
and
next
that's
slide.
where WISPR and FlyGuys really aligns, John.
Mhm.
A lot of our work is surveying and mapping, and that's what you guys went after. So it definitely aligns there.
Absolutely. All right, a couple of these things I already touched on. So writing our own software and firmware. We're not interviewed for this job. Our our chairman who I was interviewing with was like, we're a software company that makes drones for certain applications. And it took me about a year to figure that out because I was like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. We're a drone manufacturer. He was right. The software is really kind of what is the glue that holds us together. And thinking about Whisper in that manner is really more accurate than just thinking that we make drones. So no recurring software firmware fees. So there's no pay wall up for mission planning or anything like that. We are constantly working on just kind of the how-to guides. We want to have all of our information on how to operate our systems readily available to you guys. So we put those in two different places out there, one on our website, something called Whisper You, and the other just on YouTube. Again, we are Whisper Systems, not Whisper Drones. All our newer payloads are backwards compatible. We launched the Sky Scout 1 in the summer of 2024 and the Sky Scout 2 in the winter and fall of 2025. So did those like kind of quickly. due to the whole NDA compliance, blue list, green list thing I'll get into here in a little bit. But we use the same batteries and charger from one to the other. And then, this last line is just so you kind of understand how we want to partner with our customers out there. We're offering 60% discounts on the folks to upgrade to the two. So we value the people out there flying with us, and we want to make it easy for them to have the best equipment that we can offer. All right. We're going to dig down a little bit deeper from what Jeremiah spoke about earlier. So, kind of, we'll start at the very, very bottom, and there's even a bottom below this just called American made. So, if you hear like, I need an American made drone, American made doesn't really mean anything. Like, no state, federal government agency really needs American made. You could be American made. So, I can make something, here in Memphis, Tennessee with all Chinese parts, and it's not going to be compliant to fly on any of these government sites because it's not compliant, even though it's American made. So understand that. Like when people are asking for American made, that's not really a thing the government ever asked for. It all starts with NDAA compliance. So NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, that tells you how you can spend federal dollars more or less on sensitive technology. So you can fly most state jobs. I'd say 90% of jobs out there that our customers are working on that need compliance need NDAA compliance. There's different layers of NDAA compliance. There's 889, which is a telecommunication section, stating that only telecommunication equipment from these listed companies is banned. So it could be a Chinese company with the telecommunication equipment, but not one of the banned ones. And so it could be NDAA 889 compliant, even though it's got a Chinese component. NDAA 848, 817, there's even some more that are coming out, really say just like no covered critical components. So covered nations are the nations that the United States has deemed, nefarious out there. Like mainly China is the one we're worried about. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Cuba. So NDA compliance is mainly where we see things at currently that people need. The next level up is the green list, which is the newer of the two when you're looking at green and blue. So the green list is third party verified NDA compliance. And they also do a deep cybersecurity and supply chain screening on your entire network on the drone. They try to hack into the drone. They try to hack into the network, at your office, all those different things. So the green list has the same process as far as cybersecurity screening, as far as penetration testing, supply chain management, all that the blue list does. But the green list drones are not set specifically for DoD or Department of War now, DoW mission sets. So the really main difference is blue listed drones do not have remote ID. Just like Jeremiah was saying, the Army is not looking to broadcast the location of the pilot to anybody. But the green list and the blue list have both been through the same vetting process. So I'm starting to see more and more folks saying, "Hey, I want green list," because they want that full level of vetting, so they know there's no issues with it. But obviously, for the jobs that you were doing, I'd say most of them are going to need the remote ID. So I
Yeah,
know
in
it's
my
like
experience,
full as mud, but it's tough.
yeah, in my experience, it's been when I've needed a blue, it's only on like an actual military base.
That's right. That's
Very
right.
extreme
So
situation.
there's a lot of people out there like, "Hey, I need a blue listed drone." It's like
Mm,
you probably don't, if you're just
yeah,
flying, a construction project, not for the Army. So
yeah.
that's how all those are laid out.
I think that's why it's so important for our pilots to have visibility to this information. They need to know how to navigate those conversations with clients to better understand what exactly they need. I would hate for a pilot to go out and buy a Blue-approved drone if they actually only needed something NDAA compliant.
Absolutely. No
Yeah,
doubt about it. Or you buy a drone that doesn't have remote ID and now you can only fly it on military installations. Like you don't
yeah.
want to do that.
You,
So
you try
yeah,
to get ahead of the curve, but you kind of still limited yourself by making the wrong decision.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. So with us, our compliance comes from the hand controller itself. So um, back down to the base level here of just base NDA compliance. So this is an example of NDAA 889 compliance. So that's the black HearLink or the blue HearLink hand controller. So they made this as confusing as they could, making the dang thing blue, even though it's not blue list compliant. So
Yeah.
I use them daily for that. But so it's NDAA 889 compliant because it's got the processing chip inside of it. It's called the S1 Pinecone chip. It's made in Taiwan, but it's owned by a Chinese company called, the IP is owned by a Chinese company called Xiaomi. So Xiaomi is not on the banned telecommunications list. So therefore it is 889 compliant, but not 848 or 817 because it's still subject to the control of a covered nation a la China. So we knew in order to get to that next level of compliance, the green list and blue list, that we needed a complete cyber secure and supply chain secure platform or hand controller. And so we partnered with Qualcomm for our radios, and then they hooked us up with a robotics company in Taiwan in order to custom build the Skyboss hand controller. So that's fully compliant hand controller. It's been through all the cybersecurity screening for the green list, blue list. I was hoping to be on the green list already, like by this meeting today. I had a call with them last week, and the ball's in their court. We've answered all their questions. None of them are about our platform at all. It's all about like we have a firmware update we need to do on our security cameras or something. So fully expect to be on the green list and then the blue list quickly thereafter with the Sky Scout 2 Plus and the Skyboss hand controller.
Nice. So NDA compliant on the way to the blue list.
Exactly.
Very
So
good.
we are NDA compliant. So yeah, if you're blue, you're NDA compliant. If you're green, you're NDA compliant. You can always go down, but you can't go up as far as this graphic goes. It's kind of
Nice.
the best way to remember it. Yep. All right, so jumping into the Skyboss a little bit, it's a really robust hand controller. I believe we have the best screen on the market. I don't think anyone's touching us on this screen. It's a great thing to show in a demo. Staring down at it, you can see it with polarized glasses. By the way, I know that's a big deal for folks out there. But when you have the brightness turned all the way up on it, it's almost too bright to look at. You can hold it directly out in the sun and still see it perfectly clear. Like it's a really nice screen. So 2000 nit brightness. I didn't know what a nit was before talking about this hand controller, but that is very bright. I think most people around 1,000. There's some at 1,500, and this is all the way up to 2,000. So it's military drop tested, IP55. It's got all the encryption, the multiple roll wheels. It's gonna feel very similar to the RC Plus in your hands. Like the button layouts are the same. They've even got the C buttons, back on the back side. We've got a hot swappable battery on it, 6 hours battery life. We've got 2.4 and 5 on the capabilities, which allows you to connect directly to a local base as long as you have the ability to do a local in-trip caster. With any of our hand controllers, you can connect via in-trip to any cores or VRS network. But this allows you to actually connect directly to that local base, which I know is um, a big deal to a lot of people out there. Carson, anything I missed on the hand control?
No, that was pretty good coverage.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
All right, so here is the Sky Scout 2, and then a few of our payloads. Those two things right in the center of the drone, above the payload bay, they kind of look like cameras, but those are actually LiDAR sensors. So we've got three pairs of those LiDAR sensors on the drone, forward, backwards for collision avoidance, and then we have a downward facing one for automated landing, and we can even do live terrain following, blending that data with the GPS data, which I'll get into, I think, on the next slide. All right, so the Sky Scout 2 had some pretty serious upgrades over our Sky Scout 1 series. It starts with what we are calling Temp Guard, which is our dynamic climate control system internally built into the drone. And then we updated with the Smart Core power distribution system in order to ensure that we have clean power running from those batteries. We've got terrain sense, which is what I was just talking to you about with that downward facing LiDAR sensor. We can pair the GPS data with that sensor in order to do live terrain following. Path guard, big jump there. We increased our range 233% out to 164 feet, again, forward and backward. Now we got signal shield, which we just continue to iterate on every single one of our platforms. That's something we've had for a long time. I talked about that when talking about how we had to learn EMI from dealing with the towers. We've got our S-Port quick attach system that we developed in coordination with Grimsey, the gimbal manufacturer out of Vietnam. And then obviously on the 2 Plus, we have that Skyboss smart controller we just spoke about.
Rainfall is huge. Meet those data requirements for LiDAR and RGB, GSD, and meeting GSD standards is big, especially with our clients and pilots know this. That can result in refly very often. So knowing that terrain follow is huge.
Yeah, we've got terrain follow, and then we've also got GSD built into mission planning. So there's no
Nice.
need to pull out, another Excel sheet or anything. Based on the sensor you choose at the beginning of the mission planning process, your height, will determine, speed is going to determine the GSD, and we will show you that calculation or show you the value as you adjust your mission in order to get the GSD that you need.
Very nice.
All right, so we technically have three versions of the Sky Scout 2. We've got the Sky Scout 2 with two hand controller options. You've got no compliance with the HereLink Black. Like if you just gung ho about buying, an American product, because it's still, an American product, but you have no compliance on the hand controller because that hand controller is assembled in China. You've got the black HereLink, you've got the blue HereLink option that we've spoken at length about, and then you've got the Sky Scout 2 Plus. So three drones, three price points, three different layers of compliance. All right, so here's some of the GSD that we were talking about a minute ago. So we like to do these calculations for you, so you've got an idea of what you can get out of this camera. So this is kind of our base mapping payload. We call it the WISPR 24 megapixel mapper. 5,500 bucks, 24 megapixels, 16 millimeter lens. Mechanical shutter was an absolute must for the mapping folks, obviously. All the geotagging happens directly on the drone. We've got an onboard computer that does that. So let the drone land, give it 10 seconds. I think Carson will always teach you 30 seconds just to be safe, but it usually happens probably in under 10. But you just pull the SD card out and all the pictures are tagged. Anything you want to touch on there, Carson?
So along with the tagging of the images, there is a text file that lists all of the XRF data that was written. So you can go through this text file if you choose to do so to make sure that you had RTK fixed on all your images before leaving the site. But you can also do a PPK process on top of that in case you did have, let's say your internet connection went out or the base tipped over, the base ran out of battery. It comes up at the very bottom there where you can run either, you don't have to run RTK or PPK, but of course, most of us will run RTK. And you can also enable RTK and PPK at the same time. So it gives you kind of a fail safe to it as well.
Yep, good point.
Yeah, mechanical shutter, that's a big one for me. Anytime I'm talking to an American-made drone company, that's my first question. Do you guys have a mechanical shutter or a payload that has a mechanical shutter? Moving into enterprise drones, not having to deal with motion blur and overexposure, underexposure, all of those quality image issues that we used to deal with in the back is such a big selling point for a pilot because it's just gonna it increases the flight the I guess what I'm trying to say is it increases the success of the flight by having a mechanical shutter and reduces the need for a refly.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. This might be our most popular payload right now is the Sony ILX LR1. They're starting to just call it the LR1 because the ILX, no one knows what it means and it's pretty wordy. But so 8,500, obviously you can see the GSD over there really strong. Another mechanical shutter, 35 millimeter lens. This sensor, gets you kind of into the inspection market as well. It's great for building digital twins. Like we've got some custom missions for 3D modeling towers, even guide wire towers. That's really neat. And I'm not sure anyone else out there has it. Same geotagging process as the 24 megapixel mapper. You just get a lot more payload power with the 61. And this was Sony's first little real foray into building a drone or building a sensor specifically for drones. So we've been working with them on it for I think 4 years and continue to work in really tight coordination with Sony directly.
Yeah, digital twins is big right now in the industry. I've seen the different phases we've gone through to from pretty images and videos to creating a 2D map, and now we're in the era of digital twins. So seeing that you guys are aligning with the industry, that's big right there.
Yeah, it's definitely getting very popular.
Mhm.
All right, here's a dual sensor, or this is our thermal option right now, is the Grimsey VO. So you've got a 640 by 512 thermal on one side, 240 time hybrid zoom RGB. It is a rolling shutter. It's just under 9 megapixels, so you don't really want to map with it for all the reasons Jeremiah just spoke about. It's really an inspection slash public safety payload. You can do Carson, it was like a thermal ortho. Or
That's
what?
correct.
Yeah, so we can do that. We've been asked by a few people like, hey, we really need to be able to do an ortho with the thermal. And so that is possible. We've got that in the software now. There's two versions of it. One is the VOG one. G is generic, meaning Chinese, and then F1 is FLIR, American slash Canadian, and then it's NDAA compliant. All right, getting into a few LiDAR sensors. So this is a really great price for a very, very popular uh, laser. So the XT32 from Hesai. So Hesai is a Chinese laser company, but really strong laser, really good price point. 5 megapixel colorization camera on here, two returns. Again, really solid unit right here. By the way, Recepi, anytime you see that, you think of the company Inertial Labs. So Inertial Labs is a LiDAR manufacturer based out of Virginia. Their parent company is a IMU manufacturer for the DOW, Department of War. So they're putting these IMUs inside of guided munitions. A few years ago, they were like, well, what else needs a really high-end uh, IMU? And LiDAR units are mainly separated from company to company by the quality of the IMU. And so they're already building this for guided munitions. They're doing it at scale. They're doing it, here in the United States. And so they're able to integrate that into these LiDAR units and then provide a full package much cheaper than a lot of people. I mean, the IMU a lot of times is more expensive than the actual laser. And so that's why Inertial Labs has a really competitive price point, but also very high quality data. All right, moving on to the next one, we've got the Recepi Light. We skipped one. We got the Light M2X. There we go. So this was the second generation of the XT32. They added an extra return to this laser, but also made it lighter, so we can actually put a full 24 megapixel mapping camera on the back of it. So you can get your mapping data in the same exact flight. So that's the more popular of the two, even though it's a little bit more expensive. People just seem to like the ability to, one, get the extra return, and then two, have the mapping done at the same time.
Yeah, that's huge efficiency right there. I think a lot of other LiDAR sensors will have it, but just to colorize the point cloud. With this, you're actually able to create an ortho.
That's right. That is right. All right, so here getting into a couple NDA compliant ones. So um, before the federal highway letter came out, mid-December, saying that starting on the 22nd of December, no foreign or no covered components can basically fly on any federal highway projects or projects funded by the federal government. I had never sold any, like a single one of these, because everyone was flying NDA compliant drones with those Hesai payloads that we just went over. Since that letter came out, I think we sold 7 of these. And so, like, immediately people are just like, well, I can't even go on my job site anymore. What do I do? And so, if that's a big part of your business, then getting an NDA compliant LiDAR unit is going to be very important to you. So here is the, I think the most affordable NDAA compliant LiDAR unit that I have seen, the Ouster OS164. It's their Rev 7 laser. In all honesty, the quality is going to be much like the XT32 from Hesai. It's not going to be M2X quality. I'm going to be closer to that other one, but it will be obviously compliant. They've come a long way. We first looked at the data, the Ouster data, 3 or 4 years ago, and it was not very good. It was very noisy, but they've certainly done a lot of work to really tighten it up. So for your basic topo type work, it's going to be plenty good. All right, and here's kind of the biggest revolution in LiDAR technology since I joined the industry 4 years ago. So this is an 8 return laser for $66,000, $67,000. The Teledyne Echo 1, they worked with Inertial Labs to get this thing integrated. So it's got the same Inertial Labs tactical grade IMU that all the other units have, 5 megapixel colorization camera on it. We integrated this a few weeks ago, and the quality is just outstanding. This is an absolute game changer out there in the world of LiDAR, no doubt about it. So really excited. It's set to start shipping here in about 3 or 4 weeks. If anybody wants to see a data review of that, just let me know. We can set up a time. But it is what they say it is for sure. It's come out about a year late, but and that's driven me absolutely nuts. But talking with Inertial Labs and talking with Teledyne, Teledyne is just obsessed with quality control, and they're just not going to put it out until it's perfect. And you got to respect that, as frustrating as it is.
If our GIS team is in the chat right now, they're definitely gonna request one of those.
Yeah, it's fun to show because it's like it's really good data. It's really, really good
Yeah.
data. And like a typical 8 return sensor like that's going to typically cost you 120 to 180.
Oh man.
So we're half to
Yeah.
2/3 off. So pretty
Payload
exciting.
and platform. That's a very good price to get that quality
Yeah, no doubt about it. Never been done.
and be compliant all at the same time.
And compliant. That's right.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. That's not to say we don't have a bunch of other integrations. And so we've got the two units from Yellow Scan going on Sky Scout, the Mapper Plus and Surveyor Ultra. We've got the new GeoQ stuff. We've got some Rock Robotics. We've got some Velodynes. We got more Inertial Lab stuff. Then we've got multispectral payloads as well. We've got a lens that you put onto the Sony LR1 that turns it into a multispectral camera. We've got all kinds of mica sense integrations. One thing I want to mention is, you might be out there and you have some of these payloads that's currently mounted on a DJI platform. We can mount them, change the mounting out, and get them onto our platform. So that's become pretty popular over the last month as well. It's just like, hey, I've got this rock unit that I need to get on a compliant platform. Can you do that for me? Or I've got this mica sense lens. Or mica sense sensor. I don't want to buy a whole nother one. Do I have to? No, you don't. Like let us just put our mount on it and get it on. So that's always an option out there as well.
Yeah, I really like that. That allows pilots to set themselves up on a growth path. If they're not ready to go all in on an NDAA payload, they can at least know that they want to get started on the platform, use their current payload, and then work their way into getting full NDAA compliant equipment.
That's right.
Nice.
All right, WISPR Cloud. So this is something that we're rolling out in pieces over time. Right now, what we have in our cloud is a PPK processing tool. So we can retag the pictures PPK. It's like a couple uploads and then a download, and then you're ready to go. It's pretty simple. But we'll eventually have cloud-based mission planning, fleet management software, 3D mission planning, automatic log uploads where we have got an AI tool we've built that will analyze the flight log, battery management and maintenance, all that stuff will be in there eventually, but we'll constantly be rolling out new features into that cloud.
That's a lot of value. That's more than just a platform. That's you're getting much more integration than just that.
That's right. Like data processing will be in there eventually. Like your whole drone program can be attached to the cloud eventually. So we've built the foundation of it, and now we can really start start running with it. All right. I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but we've got Whisper U. If you go to our website and go to the menu, it's the second to last item on that menu tab. And again, that's just the curated 3-minute videos of how to do specific things. And so there's the categories on the left-hand side. You'll see you want to learn about photogrammetry, you want to learn about LiDAR. Everything you need to know is on drop downs there. So feel free to use that. And really start kind of wrapping your head around what it's like to work with us. If you ever see anything in there like, hey, I know you guys do this, but there's no, um, there's no actual video yet, let me know and we'll get the video going. We're always working on them. All right. Here is something that I'm very excited to be able to share with you guys. And this is something that no one else has seen before. I worked with Jeremiah and the team over there to really kind of dial this in a way that makes sense for you guys. But I know that some of you out there got hit by that highway letter or are very cautious about what's going on with that FCC letter that came out, a few days after the highway letter. And I want to lower the barrier to entry in getting our product into your hands to realize that like, hey, going away from DJI isn't going to the Stone Age. Like we're a lot closer than you might think that we are. And so we've got a rental program in order for you to really learn how to use our equipment, but at a lower price point and be able to, understand how it works and which payloads you prefer and all that stuff before actually making the purchase. So we go to the next slide, you can kind of see the prices on how that all breaks down. So you got my MSRPs on the left, weekly rental rates, do require you to carry insurance. Training is definitely required to do the warranty. That's half off. Usually we charge $2,000 for the training. Though if you buy equipment from us, there's no fee for the support, but if you just rent, there is that support fee. And then also 50% of your rental can go towards purchase as long as you purchase that equipment inside of 12 months. So again, just trying to lower the barrier to entry to get you guys into a compliant and our platforms. So
Yeah, what a game changer for anyone that might have current clients or current missions and jobs that are making this transition and maybe they don't have it, but want to keep that clientele and continue to keep that consistent mission to be able to not have to bite the bullet, make that, who knows, six-figure investment. They can start to rent first, build themselves to that point, solidify that relationship in the new transition to Blue or transition to NDAA, and eventually just be able to purchase one themselves or even that same platform. This is pilot development on a whole nother scale. I haven't seen anyone do this, and it's great that you guys are doing this for pilots.
thank you. We're excited about it. We're very excited about it.
All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and open it up to some questions. John, thank you so much. It's just such valuable information. But let's get into the questions. I know there's some stuff that pilots want to know. So first question, how does Sky Scout handle accuracy and RTK compared to DJI?
Carson, this sounds like a perfect question for you.
Sure does. We're comparable. We are right there, with any high megapixel camera across the board, and I mean every manufacturer. High megapixel cameras are difficult when it comes to vertical accuracy. Across the board, when we have foggy days, overcast days, cloudy days compared to sunny days, you're under a tenth of a foot in your vertical accuracy. On a normal day that we would want to go map, you're going to get some very low RMS values. I've seen stuff as low as like 300ths of a vertical foot RMS across a survey site. And of course, the RTK we spoke of earlier, we can use any in-trip provider that includes VRS. And also if you have your local base that has a local caster, we can connect directly to it. And what John meant by that earlier is your Wi-Fi connection is to your base, not going through an internet caster. And of course, we can take Ntrip through an internet caster as well.
Yeah, that's music to my ears. That sounds like a platform that was designed for mapping and surveying. Let's go ahead and move on to another question. I fly an M series DJI drone. What's the learning curve on Sky Scout?
I'll take that one, John. We geared it so that we can bring customers from a DJI enterprise framework and come into WISPR Systems and not have a learning curve. You're going to see things that are very similar. And you're also going to find that there's technically less things you need to press to be able to build your mission. So I think it's a very easy ecosystem to move over. We've worked really hard to make it easy for those folks. And time after time, we are getting positive feedback about how easy it is to do so. That's why we select a payload. You're selecting the payload that's on that drone itself, and then all of the default parameters are loaded automatically for you. And of course, you can adjust all of those parameters from there.
Next question. What does support look like compared to DJI if something goes wrong in the field?
Sure. Support's easy. We have cell phone numbers. We have a landline. We have someone that answers the landline. The person that runs our customer support side is in the same building as our engineers, as our beta testers, as the guys that do the payload integrations, shipping and receiving. So we have everybody in that core one building so that we can seek answers. We do have a ticket system John spoke of earlier. The ticket system is more of accountability so that we can look and see, like, is there something that we're not teaching our end clients correctly? Are we forgetting to mention something? It kind of just keeps us moving in a positive direction. So yes, there's a ticket system, but it's not, hey, get in line, you got to wait a while. I watch those and I get to see that the responses are given very quickly. And I say very quickly, like most of them are the same day.
Nice. Another question. Does WISPR have geofencing?
We do. So we have an inclusion and an exclusion geofencing. So that comes as either a polygon or you can do like a circular basic function.
Nice.
But we
Very
do not
good question.
automatically geofence you.
Correct.
That
That's
is
a very good
entirely
point.
that is entirely in your control. Like if you've got a pilot who's new or is a bit of a cowboy in your program or something, you're like, I need to give him, the fenced plane, or if you're bumping right up against some airspace and you just
Correct.
want to make sure you don't violate it, then you can do it. But we do not by default geofence you at all.
Correct. No geozones are automatically loaded in there.
Gotcha. We're very adamant about making sure that pilots understand that it is their responsibility to make sure to operate in accordance to the different airspaces out there. This just takes a little bit of a step further for them having to in the actual platform set that boundary themselves. So small extra step, but it's actually really cool that they can place those limitations on themselves. See, you got another question here. Do I have full control of my raw and corrected data, or is anything locked down?
Good question. Nothing's technically locked down. So the RTK geotagging, the information that was used on the geotaggings in that text file we spoke of earlier, there's even another text file that gives all of the settings that were utilized in that camera system. So it helps in correspondence with our support team. Even the PPK file, you're extracting the Rhinex out of the drone for your PPK process. And that's just a typical UBX file. There's no lock on it. Now, processing the PPK files with WISPR Cloud is a streamlined process. So we're doing the retagging automatically so that you're downloading that corrected CSV. It's the easy button in this PPK process. But technically speaking, there's nothing that's locking you to using one type of correction system or using one method of PPK processing.
Let's get into some I think I can include these together. Pretty straightforward. Flight time, battery info. I definitely this is a Carson question.
These are always good questions. So typically, and I'll explain what I mean by typically, because we always have those asterisks, right? You're in the 27-minute error. If you're doing the Grimsey VO, the thermal, you're drawing more power, and typically you're not flying the entire time. So that number tends to drop. The LiDAR payloads you would think would hold you back, but they really do not. Our system is dynamic to where the drone's landing at 13%. So based on distance, it's going to know when it needs to trigger its RTL to return home. During that return home, you can also increase the speed. So in essence, I can do LiDAR mapping at say 5 meters a second and travel back to the return to launch position at 12 meters a second to do a hot swap and have that drone resume from the last point where it was. And on the photogrammetric side, you also are returning to that last spot to resume taking your photos too. So it has, like I said, a little asterisk to it. It really depends on where you are. I'm using the 27 at about sea level, plus or minus, well, plus 300 foot. A lot of the testing is done in Nesbit. The batteries themselves, they're 99 watt hours. And what is important about that is you can fly on the inside of a cabin with as many batteries as you would like. I just came back the other week and I was carrying 14 batteries in my backpack. Didn't even get asked anything.
Nice. I'm always sweating a little bit when I'm in an airport with my batteries.
It's 99's nice and placard on there. Only one time ever as somebody opened it up and it was because there were hand warmers in there. And apparently that triggers an alarm and they have to come swipe it. And they picked it up and looked. She said, "Oh, 99," put it right back down, didn't say anything. She was just more concerned about the hand warmers that I just happened to throw in that little Pelican case as I was running out the door to go to the airport.
Oh, it's best case scenario. Awesome.
But I hope that answers the question, Dave.
It does take two batteries. I see that other question in there.
Okay, didn't see that one.
It runs on a pair of two. They become a mated pair after 15 cycles. They're labeled 1 and 2 and color coded, and it needs to fly with a 1 and a 2. We can get into that in training, but yeah, two batteries.
Yeah, speaking about training, we're going to take one more quick question. And the question is, can you expand on the training you offer?
Sure. So the training we offer is not just let's go through the software. Here's how you fly the drone. Let's go put it up in the air. We can knock that out very quickly. We want to make sure that we go through the entire workflow of what you're specifically trying to do, including the processing. So come tell us, what software are you processing this with? Let's go through the entire situation. I also like to drive people through all the other sections of our software because it might trigger an idea. It might trigger that opportunity to then get into some digital twins or modeling cell towers, whether that's a monopole, a lattice, or a guided tower as well. So we're going to go through all options in the software. We're going to go through all the different mission planning types. We're going to go through all of the hardware. We're going to connect to your base, or we're going to connect to your in-trip network. We're going to run through the PPK processing. We're going to collect data and look at the data, not just go out, draw a polyline, go fly the drone. That's simple, guys. That's very easy. We want to go through the entire thing. Many, many, many times we're working with engineers and PLSs, and they already have a program. You don't want to disrupt the beginning or the end. You want to kind of just slide in there and make it an easy button for them. John mentioned earlier with the different features, even on our website, there's a portion to request a feature. And I always use this one as an example. We had somebody in South Texas and they wanted to see the core battery temperature on our software as they're flying. So they just put in a feature request and we added it into one of our releases. That particular release, we took in 22 different feature requests from people that makes the software better for their use case. A lot of times these are good for everybody. Why not have the battery temperature right there displayed at the top? So we take that very seriously and we welcome folks to take a look at that. And then for Cody's, Cody, I'll get with you after. I know Cody personally. I'll see if I can get something for him. It's just going to be like, hey, it's a chart, it's a breakdown. And this is where it kind of flips over to, it'd be best to make a purchase and take that discount of the rental price you already paid.
Nice. Yeah, I do see more questions, and we're gonna be getting back to you guys. We will email you with those questions. We will work with John and Carson to get the rest of those questions answered for you guys. But Carson, John, thank you guys so much. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. You guys, if any of you guys have any questions regarding WISPR Systems, please reach out to the Pilot Experience Department. That's going to be me and Nicholas Haney. You can reach out to us via email at pilot.success@flyguys.com. And we will do our best to get you guys set up with the rental program, any other questions that you may have, and get you in touch with Carson and John. So again, thank you guys so much. That is WISPR Systems, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thank you,
All right,
guys.
thank you, everybody. Thanks, Jeremiah.
Yep. Bye.